This week we're making maple syrup. It's one of my favorite things to do every year, and it's time to get these trees tapped so we can collect some sap and turn it into syrup. Like I mentioned at the end of last week's video, I forgot to order my taps in time this year, so I found a small hose barb T-fitting at the farm store that worked just fine to hang the buckets on, and the sap's already flowing, so we better get going. Well, it already looks like the beginning of a good sap flowing day, so all we've got to do now is wait for it to fill the buckets. Hey there, thanks for turning down my road. If this is your first time here, my name's Carl. My little brother and I both work for local farmers full time, but we both also farm together with our cattle herd and our hay operation. Everybody's involved, from the smallest to the biggest. If you don't have the joy of farming yourself, I'd love to help you experience it through this channel. Whatever your background, you found the right place. This is Dodge Brothers Farm and Ranch. So this little girl right here is the one that I think is gonna have a calf first. And then old 92, she'll maybe be first or probably second. Oh my, maybe first. All this gravel that washed down into the ditch in the last flood makes it really easy to hop over this fence. I would have thought that as much sun as there was today, that the sap would have flowed just a little bit harder than this. I'm not sure what's going on. Every year it's a little bit different. Kind of depends on how hard it freezes at night, how warm it gets during the day, how much sunshine there is. Today the wind blew pretty hard all day, which definitely does not help. If you get a nice calm day where the sun is shining, it works a lot better. There's hardly anything in there. I can see there's a lot in this one. Okay, got a small problem. I just collected the sap out of the trees here at home. I need to get started boiling it. I need to get in the house to get some supplies. My family is gone, and my house key that I should have on my key ring in my little pickup is not in my pickup yet because I haven't transferred it from the keys from my other vehicle. So I'm home, alone, locked out of my house, can't boil sap. Guess what? My wife has hidden a key to our house somewhere at our place. I can't tell you where, but I'm in! All right! I like to just put a paper towel in a small strainer and dump the sap through that before I start boiling it. It just gets all the tiny little bits of bark and stuff out of it first. Allow me to show you a small OSHA violation. While we were inside, you may have noticed the orange hose that I've got plumbed into the regulator on the 2-burner stove, and it's coming out of the grain bin through this opening that I made by ramming a crowbar underneath the grain bin in between 2 bolts and prying it up. And then this orange hose goes all the way through my yard, 150 feet, up to the propane tank that feeds propane to the furnace in my house. Let me show you what I did there. Look at this, it's genius. All of these fittings were available at the local farm store, and I just went in after the regulator. There was already a union right here, and I just got right in between the union and made it an air compressor fitting. Well, anyway, this was a perfect system until I realized that if you leave an old air compressor hose coiled up next to the grain bin in the sun all summer long, last summer, accidentally, it gets a little brittle. And when I hooked the end up here, this end actually broke. And I had to boil sap the other night. I couldn't stop, so I've got this good yellow duct tape. I feel like somewhere off in Canada, Red Green is probably smiling at me right now. Actually, I'm sure he's not watching, but if he did, he'd probably smile a little bit. So the sap is boiling really good. I gotta add some more here pretty soon, and basically I just have to come back about every 45 minutes and add more sap. We'll keep doing this until I run out or until I get tired and don't want to stay up anymore. So I'm on the way out to check on the sap, and got my lantern with me. I got a nice spot to hang it in the grain bin, so that works out well. Let me climb in here, see if I can show you what's going on down here. Can you see the sap boiling away? And the steam rising up out the top of the bin. This is what I'm doing every night. I'm having a lot of fun. The boiling is going really good. I've got some concentrated sap here in this bucket. Let me see if I can show you. You can see it's almost syrup, but when I get done boiling tonight, I'll dump that in. And I hope to finish this batch down all the way to syrup consistency by the time I call it quits tonight. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I brought a smaller pot out from the house. Got it boiling away in that smaller pot. Didn't want to boil it over or get it stuck to the bottom of the bigger pot. So I got my digital meat thermometer here, and I already checked some water boiling in the house. And if you remember from last year's video, to get to syrup consistency, it has to boil 7.1 degrees above water. And I was calibrating my thermometer in the house, and the water was saying about 214 to 214 and a half. So I need to get to 221 and a half to be legitimately done. I'm getting pretty close here. In years past, I've liked to do my finishing in the house, but my wife has indicated to me that, oops, the fire just went out. My wife has indicated to me that she does not like how it gets everything in the kitchen sticky when I boil syrup in the house. And I agree with her, it's a lot of work to get things cleaned up. So I am trying to finish it out here in this pot on this stove, but it's really hard to run the flame low enough and not have it blow right out.
Yeah, okay, wow. That happened quickly. I'm getting 221.7 now. 222. I don't know if this thermometer is very accurate or not. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick water calibration again here. Yeah, anyway, the syrup's definitely done. It might be a little overdone.
The cool thing about maple syrup is, though, if you do get it overdone, it's not a huge deal at all, because you can just add a little water back to it, because all you're doing when you make maple syrup is just removing the extra water from the sap so that you have a high enough sugar content. So if you ever do get it overdone a little bit, you can just add a little bit of water back to it, boil it again, and check where you're at. Not a big deal at all. Well, once in a while it's maple syrup season, and I've got to be gone for a night or two, and I'm not able to get it all boiled that I collected that day, so I'll just stick the extra stuff in this cooler usually and freeze a few blocks of sap in the freezer and throw them in there to keep it nice and cold until I can get around to boiling it. while we wait for that to get started, I had some questions last week from some viewers about what I was doing screwing that plug onto that pipe underneath my hydrant when I was watering the cows. Let me run up to the barn quick while that sap gets going and show you what the deal is up there. So I used to get tired of rolling up a garden hose and putting it in the basement every night. So I put this PVC pipe on the hydrant, goes up to the ceiling, and it slopes down and out the old window opening and right over into the cattle tank. What this allows me to do, since I've got slope on the entire system, is I can shut the hydrant off and screw this drain plug off the bottom, and it drains all the water out of the pipe right away so that there's none left in the pipe to freeze. It's really easy. I ran to town to pick up some intranasal vaccines for the calves that we usually like to do in the first 24 hours after they're born. I just got the sap started boiling before I left, and the way it works when I'm boiling sap at home, I can usually walk away for about 45 minutes before it gets down to the level where I have to put some more in. So I thought, well, it's just a quick 10-minute drive into town, and I'm not going to be late getting home unless, I hadn't thought about this. I mean, what if something happens to the truck, or I'm driving a $500 pickup? Or what if I get a flat tire or something? My family's not home this morning, everybody's gone. If I can't get a hold of anybody, I'm gonna have to start running like Forrest Gump to try to get home before my sugar shack burns up. Whoops. Well, here's to hoping. We should be fine, right? Well, no trouble. Made it in plenty of time. Boy, is it windy and sunny. If it wasn't for the wind, this would be the perfect sap flowing day. It froze really good last night, and it's nice and warm and sunny today, but the wind always screws it up just a little bit for whatever reason. I think it just keeps the trees a little cooler than they would be if there was no wind. It's starting to get that good maple smell to it already. It's going to be another great day. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any interest in making your own maple syrup at home, you can see it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You don't have to have really fancy equipment. I forgot to buy my taps this year. I ended up finding something at the farm store that worked just fine. Any way that you can get the sap out of the tree and then boil the extra water out of the sap, dump it on your pancakes, and it's gonna be fantastic. Don't be afraid to try it. If you wanna know a little more about the process, go ahead and check out the video that I made last year about this time about the subject of making maple syrup. As always, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week.